Good morning. Hare Krishna. Today is a beautiful Friday, March 20th, and today's topic on the Srimad Bhagavatam is how to help our minds become focused on acting like a swan. And so that's not an easy thing to do in today's environment. We're all kind of cooped up inside. The world is gradually shutting down all around us, and there are real scary things happening. But this is also an incredible time to go internally, to journey inside of your heart and take time for solitude, and identify all of the things that are inside your heart that need to be cleared out, or even a time to spend with your family as you're working from home or at home to identify what the internal needs are of your child and your spouse and your family. And so I wanted to read these beautiful verses on Srimad Bhagavatam to remind myself of who I am and what my eternal relationship with the Lord is, and to continuously be training my mind, which is a machine, to do the same. And so I'm going to recite these verses. They're such beautiful verses, and they help establish our eternal identity. We're looking for establishing our eternal identity right now, because everything temporary, everything of this world is changing in a very global level. Everything is changing. Everything as we know it in the world is in flux, and no one is in control. We don't know even next week what the situation will be, or in 3 weeks what the situation will be, or in the summertime what the situation will be. And because of that, those whose minds are struggling, they will find, those of us whose minds are weak, you will find a lot more anxiety, a lot more panic in your heart. And so, Hare Krishna Riya, so nice to see you. Happy Ekadashi to those of you who are celebrating it today. Yesterday here in Dallas, we celebrated Ekadashi. So here we start with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 10, and then I will read the next verse, which is another favorite of mine, and that's Text 11. So please do hit that share button. This message is really important right now at this time for anyone who wants to establish more of an eternal space in their life and in their heart, identify who they are, what are their main relationships, what is their home. Because, my dear friends, this place, this world where we have day and nights, happiness and distress, fear and anger and sadness, with some peace, this is not our home. So let's figure out where we belong, and let's train our minds to either be swans or to allow them to continue being crows. And so here we are with the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Here we start. Nayadvajaschitra-padam hareryasho. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:5-10. Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 10. Hare Krishna Sandeep Prabhu, please hit that share button. Nayadvajaschitra-padam hareryasho. Jagat pavitram pragrinita karhichit. Nayadvajaschitra-padam hareryasho. Jagat pavitram pragrinita karhichit. Tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa. Tadvayasam tirthamushanti ushanti manasa na yatra hansa niramanti shikshaya na yatra hansa niramanti shikshaya na yadvachaschitrapadam hariryasho jagat pavitram pragrinita karhichit tadvaya samtirtham ushanti manasa naya trahansa niramanti shikshaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So there's a beautiful story. There are so many stories that are coming to mind as I discuss this topic, but let's read the translation first and then we'll get into the story. So the translation of this beautiful Sanskrit verse is, those words that do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Those words that do not describe Krishna, those are places of pilgrimage for crows. So our mind is like a crow. What sound do crows make? Our mind is like a crow. Our mind is constantly seeking out the news that disturbs the mind. Our mind is constantly looking for more and more information to hang on to it, to get deep into the trash, and to hold on to it all day and all night, and so much so that you cannot sleep and you disturb everybody around you by bothering them with all of your crow-like knowledge and words. That is the status of our mind. And our mind looks at this time specifically for those words that cause more distress and more panic. And then the mind hangs on to those words. And what does it say? The all-perfect persons, Hansa, are inhabitants of the transcendental abode. They live in another sphere. Whether their physical body is here on this chair in this house, or their physical body is in another location, it doesn't matter where their physical body is. Their mind and their heart and their intelligence and their very self belongs to another abode. My dear friends, you do not belong to this world. I do not belong to this world. This entire earth planet that is now becoming fearful, which we are as well, of what will happen with this disease that has completely overtaken us and our consciousness and shutting down gradually. First it was the stores, then the schools, then the restaurants, then the parks. The children can't even go to the parks to play right now. The parks are shut down. Soon, who knows? Soon it may be our streets. In some countries, the governments are saying stop going out in the streets. And so the mind thinks this is my home. And of course, temporarily, it is our home. Yes, we are here temporarily. But just like if you are the resident of someone's house, like say you live in your own home, my address is 5707 Victor Street. And say I go to a friend's house for a little bit of time, and I'm going there to hang out with them. And say one of their cabinets, they have heavy things on their cabinets, and as they were reaching up to get it, the entire cabinet broke and everything fell, and now the floor is covered with broken glass. Say that happened in someone else's house and the cabinet broke. Yes, you would be dismayed and you would be upset about it, and you would go rush to help them clean it up, right? You would help your friend to clean it up, but it would not have the same exact effect on you as if it happened in your own home. If it happened in someone else's home, it's there, it's worrisome, you're concerned for it, but it doesn't affect you as if something happens in your own home. Our driveway right now has pipes that have burst, and so there's always water coming up between the cracks. Now, we had pipes bursting all over the streets of Dallas at different times. When I drive through the streets of Dallas and I see the pipes bursting underneath the road and the water seeping out and, workers working there, I'm concerned, I'm worried, I'm stressed. Okay, now, depending on how close I am to that neighborhood or the devotees living there or the people, friends living there, I'm concerned. But when it happens in my own house, how much disturbance happens? Now I've got to fix it. Now I have to spend money on it. Will it damage our home? Will it make it difficult for us to live here? Is the water going under the foundation? Is it messing up the entire foundation of our home? In the same way, right now, the place where we live, the Earth planet, it is in a little bit of chaos. There are fears of death and mortality happening all around us, and everything as we know it is shutting down. But is this our home? No. This is not our home. We have come to a temporary home, just like it says here, Na yatra hansa niramantyu shikshaya. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. And so swans, hansa means all perfect persons and also means swans. And so the swan is the transcendental sages, as many of you are sages. This is the time for all of us who consider ourselves bhakti yogis to pull out all of the parts of ourselves that have sage-like tendencies. Make your mind a swan. Stay away from the crow-like state. And so what does a crow do? A crow looks for areas of dirt. Where the trash is, they like to pick at the trash. And they like to pick on the sores of dead bodies. If you look at the movies, now I don't have personal experience of this, thank God. I haven't seen dead bodies with crows picking at them. But if you look at the movies, and especially those like Mahabharata and those with a lot of like battlefields, you'll see crows picking at the flesh of the dead bodies. Crows like to gather in places of trash. And right now we have our minds being like crows. And our minds are gathering and searching for trash news, for panic news, for fear news. And then the mind gets it, looks at those words that will cause fear, and then shares it. It's so easy to share, right? On Facebook, it's just literally a button. Or shares it with your family members, because that's what we have to do. We have to tell everybody what's going on. Oh my goodness, we have to talk about all the people that have died, and we have to talk about all the fears. But the problem is that it doesn't just stop there. It's one thing if you read it, you share it, okay, you inform people. Now the crow-like mind stays there and ruminates over it, and all day and all night, and creates a layer of deep anxiety over the heart. Oh, such a layer of anxiety over the heart, where you walk and you feel fearful and you feel scared and you need to go to work to get your mind off of it. But wait a minute, you can't be around people. So how are you going to get your mind off of it? My dear friends, the mind is a... Hare Krishna, everybody. So good to see you online. The mind is a machine. The mind is not conscious or sentient. The mind can be controlled. The mind can be told yes and no. You will do that and you will not do that. It's just continuous, just like a child. When a child goes to do something, consistently and regularly you tell him stop. When my little baby, when he was 2 years old and he went to the altar to pick up the Didi shoes or cups or play with things on the altar, I didn't have to put gates. I just told him, no, not that, beta, take the bell instead. No, not that, beta, take the flower instead. Same with the mind. No, not that, my dear friend, my dear mind. Don't get invested on all that. Listen to this. Look at this, hear this, talk about this. So we can't just tell the crow-like mind to stop. We do have to give another item to the crow-like mind to turn the crow, black crow, into a beautiful, elegant swan. And so how are we going to do that? Here's our next verse coming up, and another favorite verse of mine. It's Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 11. It's just the adjacent verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So even the great sages who are speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe this is Narada Muni who's speaking these words, even he knew that you can't just say no, don't have the mind listen to all of the Gramya Katha or talks that will only increase one's suffering and anxiety in this temporary world. He knows that if you're going to ask the mind to become like a swan, to take shelter of the transcendental abode, then you have to figure out what to do with it. And here we go, you've got to give it a higher taste. And here's another Sanskrit verse. Sanskrit are the words from Krishna. Krishna spoke in the Sanskrit language. And Sanskrit has such power in those words. The words have the power to teach, to give you the strength to train your mind. And so that's why I will now recite these words. Please recite them with me if you're able. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo. Yasmin prati shlokam abadhavatyapi. Yasmin prati shlokam abadhavatyapi. Namanyanantasya yashon kitaniyat. Namanyanantasya yashon kitaniyat. Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. On the other hand, Narada Muni is saying, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, form, fame, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a different creation, full of transcendental words. Okay, so don't allow your mind to go to the place of pilgrimage for crows. Don't let your mind go to the dead bodies with the rotting flesh. Yes, you need to hear some news to keep yourself protected, but tell your mind to stay away from that. This is not my home, my dear mind. My dear friends, my dear Santosh and Prakash and Krish and all of you who have joined, hit that share button. And please remember, this place, this world, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, it is not our home. This is our temporary residence that we have come here for this lifetime and many, many maybe lifetimes, but we need to get out of it. And it doesn't mean we need to physically get out of it. First, we need to arrive at the spiritual realm in our consciousness, and that happens through our mind, and that happens through the words that we listen to. What words and what topics and where are we placing our mind? And so your mind needs to go to the transcendental abode. And in order to have your mind do that, which makes your mind into a swan, what does it say here? The literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words. And what do these words do? Janatagha Viplava. Janata, for the people in general. Viplava, a revolution. It creates a revolution in the hearts of the people who are suffering from sinful activities. Directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Why is this world misdirected? Because each of us thinks that this body, my pretty hair and my big eyes and my earrings and my fingers, that this body is everything. And that this world that I'm sitting in, this matter, these books, this phone, that these are my possessions. And that this is all I have and all that belongs to me and my family members and my husband and my children, my parents. All of these are my most dear, intimate, eternal relationships. But unfortunately, we all know this fact. It's not the case. At any moment, it can be taken away. At any moment, forget COVID or Corona or whatever, you can sit in a car. The likelihood of dying while driving is so high. You can sit in a car and crash, bang, someone can go immediately. And what happens? And all around us, ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yama alaya. Yudhishthira Maharaj said the most amazing thing is, people are leaving every day. Death is taking everyone every day. But we are so caught up in the idea that this place is my place, my home. And so because of that, civilization is just trying to fix the temporary problems. How to have more food, how to have more sleep, how to be more comfortable. And I know this, I love comfort. I came back from India to America, sat on my couch and felt like, oh my God, I love America with the hot showers and the very, very comfortable environment. That the comfort of my body and my fellow friends and family is the most important thing. Misdirected civilization. And we're all going towards death. Gradually, we're all racing towards another temporary life. So say everything's fine and we live another 20, 30, 50, 100 years. Maybe not 100, unless you plan on living till you're 120, if you're 20 years old and listening to this. But the point is, if we're not going to be living, if we're going to be leaving our bodies and dying anyways at the time of death, whether it be tomorrow, God forbid, or it be in 45 years, what difference does it make if all of your actions, if every single one of your actions are misdirected civilization, are only to satisfy the internal body and to forget about your eternal relationship with Krishna? We must at this time take this opportunity that Krishna is providing us to really figure out, who the hell am I? Who am I? What am I? How can I become a sage, a Hansa, a swan? How can I take it seriously to tell my mind to stop thinking about the temporary and to really divert it now to what must happen at this time? Establishing our eternal identity with Krishna. And how do we do it? We want to create that revolution in our hearts. How am I doing it? I'm doing it by reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day and reading it with you all and remembering Krishna's pastimes. Because yes, it is scary. At nighttime when you read up on the things, it's difficult to sleep. Sometimes you get scared. And so you must remember Krishna's pastimes and trust him. And remember that he is there and he is our eternal Lord. And this world is not my home. And right now there's a temporary disturbance in this world. In the entire world there's a temporary disturbance. But that too shall pass. I have a son, he's still here. I have a son who had a tumor, very intense tumor. And it burst in his brain, and we were in the hospital for 3 weeks. And at that time I also felt, Krishna is here. He knows what's happening. Whether he takes him right now or doesn't take him is in his hands. My eternal relationship is with Krishna. And so I'm asking all of you to please join me in this and to please share this message with others. And how do we do that? How do we establish? The most important thing is hearing. And what do we hear? Srimad Bhagavatam. And what is Srimad Bhagavatam saying? That literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories, of the name, fame, form, pastimes, of the unlimited Supreme Lord. Unlimited. He doesn't have limits. He doesn't stop himself in the amount of love that he gives you. There's no limit to the love he will give you. And if you say to him, my dear Krishna, okay, so this place sucks right now, this world that I've chosen to come to, and I've made some pretty bad decisions, and it really, really is like, doesn't work. It's not working right now. Things are freaky here, and you got to help me. There's no limit to the help he will give you and to the love he will show you. And what does it say? Full of transcendental words directed towards bringing a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. And what's the last line? I have not yet the last line. Such transcendental literature, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So what I want to focus on here is imperfectly composed. Abadha vatyapi. And so it's so beautiful because Srila Prabhupada, he writes in this purport about how we know that our honest attempt to present this great literature conveying transcendental messages for reviving the God consciousness of people in general will cause a radical change in the atmosphere of the world. And today, a radical change is needed in everyone's minds. As the world continues to shut down, people will continue to shut down. I have been practicing Bhakti Yoga for 40 years, and I am finding my mind disturbed, even through my yoga practice. It is very important that we take this very seriously. And now, we focus on the transcendental words of the literature of Srimad Bhagavatam. To be a swan, now what does a swan do? We talked about the crows, right? What do the crows do? Who remembers? The crows they turn the places of trash into places of pilgrimage. You know, yatra? Yatra means pilgrimage. It's like when everybody goes like in the Judaic tradition, everyone goes to Jerusalem. It's like the holy place, and it's like where everybody goes to congregate to get spiritual knowledge. That's called pilgrimage. And it's so interesting here, Srimad Bhagavatam is making almost a joke that the crows are all gathering to talk and hang out, and they find fulfillment. It's not only just that they go and pick out the trash and leave, but they stay there and they relish it like the mind does. The mind relishes talking about. I mean, look at Facebook right now. Every single thing on Facebook is about this pandemic. And it's like you can't get away from it. Everyone is only talking about that. The crows like to relish anxiety. The mind relishes anxiety. It seeks it out. It stays in it. And the crows, they climb onto the dead bodies and pick and relish the taste of flesh. Even though it's disgusting and horrible and causing pain and suffering to so many, the mind still loves to relish it. How can we get our minds to stop relishing the anxiety? Turn your mind into a swan. And what is the first thing for becoming a swan? What does it say in the previous verse? The swan does not reside here in this world. We have another home. We reside in another home, in the eternal transcendental realm with our Krishna, with our God, with the Supreme Lord, full of bliss and happiness and knowledge. And how do we get to that abode, and how do we become swans? So swans, if you give a swan a bunch of water and milk and mixture of liquids, it will just take out the milk. And so swans are known to pick nectar from even a mixture of poison. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. It is a qualification of great thinkers to pick up the best, even from the worst. It is said that the intelligent man should pick up nectar from a stalk of poison, to accept gold even from a filthy place, to accept a good and qualified spouse even from an obscure family, and accept a good lesson even from a man or from a teacher who comes from untouchables. These are ethical instructions for everyone in every place. So there is a lot of fear and panic and anxiety and what we would call place of pilgrimage for our crow-like minds. Let us be smart. Let us figure out how to sift through it, weed through it, and teach and train our mind to pick up the opportunity, to pick up the transcendental words, to take time to identify. Take the time to tell your mind, teach your mind, and train your mind, which is just a machine and just your servant. That, you know what, my dear mind, I'm not going to spend time on this anymore. I'm sorry. Cut it out. Stop thinking about it. Let's go think about Krishna. Let's go talk about Krishna. Let's go serve Krishna. Let's make my purpose in this world and my identity so strong that at this time I can help Srila Prabhupada to share this knowledge and create a revolution in everyone's hearts. And we can only do that if we are able to do that ourselves. And so, even if it's imperfect, even if it's not done correctly, it will make a revolution. Srimad Bhagavatam will cause a revolution in everyone's minds. And how can you do it? You have been placed on this earth for a very specific reason. Thank you, Sonia Sharma. Please hit that share button. Dear Sonia, you have been placed in this planet for a very specific reason. You have an eternal identity with Krishna in the spiritual realm, as do I, as do we all. This place is not our home. This place is undergoing chaos right now. What can you and I do right now to help mitigate the suffering and the anxiety of people and to help mitigate our own anxiety? Pick up the Srimad Bhagavatam, pick up your Japamala, do your japa, concentrate on Krishna, pray to Krishna. I want to know you, I want to see you, I wish to learn who you are, and I wish to become so confident in my identity with you, in my connection with you, that I can share it with everyone around. And that feeling will automatically be felt and experienced by everyone around you. Okay, so we're turning away from the places of pilgrimages of crows. We're not going to relish there. We're not going to congregate there. We're going to tell our minds we're not hanging out in those areas where there's only anxiety. We're not only talking about that, we're going to talk about Krishna. And we're going to remember who he is. And here I'm going to end with a beautiful story of Krishna and how he again and again and again tried to prove to everybody, to us, he does his pastimes for us. And again and again and again, hey guys, I am your hero, Krishna says. I am the Veera, I'm your hero. I will protect you. I will take care of you. And so here Krishna is right now. Yes, Kamal Shah, my long-distance relationship is with Krishna, and I believe in them because my master is Krishna. We are speaking spiritual topics that are very, very important right now. Please stay focused on those topics. And so, here is the story of Aristasura. So, Kamsa kept sending demon after demon after demon into the arena of Vrindavan. And right before he sent Akrura, he thought, let me send one last demon. And the demon's name was Aristasura, and he came in the form of a great big bull. When Aristasura entered the village in the form of a great big bull, with a gigantic body and huge horns, digging up the earth with his hooves, the entire Earth planet started to tremble, as right now we are seeing a great big demon has entered into the virus, has entered into our air, into our surroundings, into our bodies. Hopefully not your and my bodies, but the chance of it entering is causing fear. In the same way the Vrajavasis, they went through fear. Aristasura is their transcendental fear because they are pure transcendental beings. But when they're in fear, it's not the same as when we're in fear because we don't go run to those crow areas. You get what I'm saying, right? I'm saying it again and again so that we can remember this. And so when the demon entered Vrindavan, the whole land appeared to tremble as if there was an earthquake. And so right now the whole earth planet is in anxiety and in panic mode, right? Worried, worried, worried. And Aristasura roared fiercely. And after digging up all the earth on the riverside, he entered the village proper, the actual village compound. And so we've been seeing with the corona, it's entered New York City and Seattle, Washington. The two edges of the United States have the most cases, and it's gradually coming into Dallas. And now it has entered Dallas. A student in our nearby school was just affected by it. And so Aristasura entered the village proper, where all the villages are assembling. The fearful roaring of the bull was so piercing that some of the pregnant cows and women had miscarriages. So the roaring of the bull is I'm comparing it to the roaring of the panic on our social media news. The fear and the roaring, the talk, where the mind gets to go. It causes anxiety, deep anxiety. And the roaring was so intense that women had miscarriages. Be very careful of what you are allowing to enter your consciousness. It can affect your body. The stress itself can reduce your immune system. Its body was so big and stout and strong that a cloud hovered over its body, just as clouds hover over mountains. So it was so tall that it reached the sky and it gathered the clouds because the clouds were stuck in it. When I was a little girl, I used to think of clouds as made out of cotton puffs. And I remember reading this and remembering thinking of cotton puffs around Aristasura's horns. Horns. Aristasura entered Vrindavan with such a fearful appearance that just on seeing this great demon, all the men and women were afflicted with great fear. And the cows and other animals left the village, fled the village. They ran very fast. The situation became very terrible, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan began to cry. And what did they cry? Who did they call for? What is our chance right now? What are we supposed to be doing in this kind of a situation? Krishna, Krishna Mahabaho, Krishna, Krishna Jagatpate, Krishna, Krishna Pahi Mam, Krishna, Krishna Raksha Mam, Krishna, Krishna, please save us. Krishna, Krishna, please protect us. Krishna, Krishna, please let me know who my identity is. Krishna, Krishna, please establish my eternal relationship with you. Krishna, Krishna, please save all of those who you wish to save. Dear Lord, my dear Krishna, 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 please help the residents of the earth planet learn who you are and establish their eternal relationship with you. Krishna saw that the cows were running away, and he immediately replied, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid." He is saying to you today, Ma Shuchaha, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Don't be afraid. I am here. I am your best friend. I will never leave you. You can trust me. I will never put you in harm's way. Whatever happens to you will happen under my guidance and my protection. He then appeared before Aristasura and said, "You lowest of living entities, why are you frightening the inhabitants of Gokula? What will you gain by this action? If you have come to challenge my authority, then I am prepared to fight you." In this way, Krishna challenged the demon, and the demon became very angry by the words of Krishna. Krishna stood before the bull, resting his hands on the shoulder of a friend. So Krishna was chilling, man. He was just like, I've killed so many demons here. I don't need to worry about this. Aristasura was a massive demon that was bigger and stronger than all the demigods and had killed demigods. Demigods are very, very powerful. They run the entire universe. And he had killed and hurt the demigods. They were scared of him. What to speak of what we have to deal with for a few months. This guy, this demon was really bad. And Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is so confident. And this personality that I'm talking about, Krishna, is seated right in your heart, my dear. Boys and girls, men and women, please remember this. He's seated right in your heart. And Krishna was so like his hands on the shoulder of a coward boy. How cool is that? And so he's resting his hand on the shoulder of a friend. He's just like, you've come? I'm going to kill you. The bull proceeded towards Krishna in anger, and the bull is seething and angry. And why are we reading this? The mind needs to remember who is our eternal friend. The mind needs to become a swan and needs to pick up the nectar from the poison. All the poison around us, the words that are going in our heads, needs to be put to the side. And we need to remember this beautiful 16-year-old transcendental supreme personality, Krishna, who is our protector and who we have an eternal relationship with. And then, what did he do? Krishna stood before the bull. Krishna stood before the bull, resting his hands on the shoulder of a friend. I'm reading that again. The bull proceeded towards Krishna in anger. Digging the earth with his hooves, Aristasura lifted his tail. It appeared that clouds were hovering about the tail. His eyes were reddish and moving in anger. Pointing his horns at Krishna, he charged him like the thunderbolt of Indra. But Krishna immediately caught his horns and tossed him away, just as a gigantic elephant tosses a small inimical elephant. Although the demon was perspiring and very tired, he took courage and got back up. So Krishna tossed him aside, but the demon, he was intensely ready to kill Krishna. He got back up. He charged Krishna with great force and anger. While rushing towards Krishna, he breathed very heavily. Krishna again caught his horns and threw him to the ground and broke his horns. Krishna will conquer the demons as much as is necessary. He will save you again and again and again. He is strong enough to protect you and to take care of you and to save you. He is your eternal master and friend. Krishna then began to kick his body, just as one squeezes a wet cloth on the ground. Being thus kicked by Krishna, Aristasura rolled over and began to move his legs violently. Bleeding from the mouth and passing stool and urine, his eyes started from their sockets. He passed to the kingdom of death. Aristasura was gone. The demigods in the celestial planets showered flowers on Krishna for his wonderful achievement. Krishna was already the life and soul of all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and after killing this demon in the shape of a bull, he became the cynosure of all eyes. With Balaram, he triumphantly entered Vrindavan village, and the inhabitants glorified him and Balaram with great jubilation. When a person performs such wonderful feat, kinsmen and relatives and friends naturally become jubilant. So when Aristasura had entered Vrindavan, the gopis had hugged and embraced the tamal trees. Please tell your mind to become swans today. Tell your minds to not seek into the temporary places of pilgrimage of the crows, where the crows all gather and yap, 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 caw, 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 and hang out and relish the dirt and the crap and the yucky stuff on the ground and the dead bodies and the flesh. The crows are picking at the flesh and they're enjoying it. In the same way, our minds are picking at all of the fear and panic and anxiety and useless topics of this world that will just increase our anxiety and pain. Do not increase your pain. Turn it into a swan, and swans pick nectar from poison. And how does it say to turn it into a swan? Establish your identity as belonging to another realm. We belong to the spiritual realm, and we have a very, very powerful, exciting life there that we have left. And right now, we're going to establish our identity with Krishna, and we're going to do that how? By, as swans, relishing the transcendental words and topics of Krishna. That's the summary of my talk today. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that share button right now. That's the first way you're going to make the next step to make a revolution in the lives of the entire Earth planet right now, which is covered in fear and panic. And you're going to be a swan. You're going to look at the opportunity. You're going to ask Krishna what your purpose is. You're going to beg Krishna to establish your eternal relationship with him so that you know what the point of all this is and how to get back to our transcendental realm and our real home where we belong. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.